Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you some of the first round of alternate ideas using the current Inked Occasions April 2025 paper pumpkin kit. The March one, which you'll be able to find lots of my videos on, I just got carried away. I think I did 5 in the end, and there were too many to do as one whole big long video. So what I'm actually starting with, believe it or not, is the envelopes. The envelopes were the thing that I used the most in the last video series that I did. And this one is no different. So this is, I mean, look at the box. This is the box everything came in. As usual, of course, it comes with full color instructions. These are the cards that the kit intends you to make. And it comes with full color instructions, as always. But like I say, we are going to start with the envelopes. And a little bit of disclaimer for the people who follow me regularly and know that I live in New Jersey. I'm currently at my house in Florida right now, and it's the first time I've ever stayed long enough to need to bring stamping things with me. So my resources are a little bit limited, but I just want to share something with you. And I say it all the time. These are just a selection of the stamping spots I've received in the kit. The current one is a berry burst, and I brought myself a little rainbow of all the different colors because I didn't want to have to bring all of my big stamping pads. So I'm going to live up to my own advice and hype, and I'm only going to use spots to do today's. So without further delay, let's get started. So this is one of the envelopes that comes in the kit. It's got this lovely inked, alcohol inked pattern on the front corner, and we're going to split the envelope down. So I'll bring the paper trimmer in, and what we do is we line up the edge of the envelope right to the grey line on the paper trough of the cutter and just cut down. So all you're taking off is the teeny tiniest little slither, and then flip it over and do the same on the other side, and that just lines everything up and opens the envelope up, but it leaves the maximum of any patterns that there may be. So then I'm going to pop it in, and because this has already been folded, sometimes if you're cutting a score line, especially on paper like envelopes or designer series paper, and it's not the lovely really thick and heavy Stampin' Up cardstock, you can get a little bit of fraying. So the trick, of course, is to always have a sharp blade, but the next trick is to just go either side of it if you possibly can, and in this instance we can. So I'm just going to get rid of the little bit of the crease on the bottom, and that leaves us the back of the envelope. And what I'm going to do is just pull off those little edges, because we don't need those anyway, but because it's not glued fully down, it does expose a little bit of the extra space that's available. So I'm just going to neaten this edge up. It really doesn't matter. This is going to be the piece that goes on the inside, actually. So let's just line it up to a nice mark, and then let's just get rid of that little curve because we don't need that to be on the inside. Now, quite often we'll either put a layer in, which is a full quarter sheet, and it is 4 by 5 1/4. Sometimes it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. But what I had done when I did my Christmas cards was I cut this, let me just move the paper trimmer out of the way quickly, was I cut a piece of basic white 3 1/2 or 3 5/8 or something, and then you get 6 pieces which are big enough to go on the inside of the card for writing your greeting on. However, this piece, which is just a spare white piece of the back of an envelope, does that same job rather splendidly. So I'm going to utilize this piece because, you know, usus maximus, as they say. They don't really. I did do Latin at school just to age myself, and my Latin teacher, bless his heart, he was an older chap when I went to school, so sorry, Mr. Focus, I hope you're not rolling around in your grave. So what we're going to do is this is going to become the front of a card, and to try and get the most out of these lovely colors, I'm not going to do 5 1/4. I'm actually going to cut it at 5 3. Oh no, I'll cut it at 4 1/8, seeing as it's this way. So we'll cut 4 1/8 off. This is a scrap, but you know, envelope scraps and me. And this side, because it's actually going to be a landscape card, we're going to put at 5 3/8 on the paper trimmer and just trim. And of course, trim the side off that has the least of the pattern. So that is the piece that's going on the front. And there is the inside already cut. So Blue Peter, those of you who know my British heritage, Blue Peter was an awesome children's show, and they used to make all sorts of things, and they always had some of it pre-prepped, half-prepped by their production assistants. So here's 2 I made earlier, and here is the inside. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep all of these, and I have got some cardstock, and each piece, if it will lift off the table, is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and it's scored at 4 1/4. So we've got a gorgeous grape one. So we'll just fold that down the crease and give it a nice sharp crease with the bone folder. We've got the fresh freesia, all the same size. And of course, don't forget, all the directions and dimensions will be on my blog, so you don't have to frantically try and write them down. You can just sit back and relax and enjoy the show, as they say. So there are the 3 cards. So you know what, let's go ahead and just pop one of the middles in. You don't have to sit and watch me attach 3 individual pieces of that one doesn't seem to want to work. White envelope insides, but it was to show you the concept of it. So we'll put it on the gorgeous grape, because that actually is a dark colored cardstock and would have to have an inside. So we put that like that. The other 2 I'll put off to one side, and you know, I'll do that a little bit later. So here's one I made earlier. There's one I'll make later. So these are the 3 cards, and now we've got the 3 card fronts, and they're cut just 1/8 smaller than the card. So the fronts can go on, but we will do a little bit of stamping first, but just so you can see the orientation. And one of the fabulous dies that comes in the kit, which goes on one of the cards, it goes on this one, but they've used the whole thing. I am going to cut mine down. So I'm just going to bring in my snips, and I'm going to snip this one just about there, and that will go on the front of one card, just like that. And this one I am going to snip just about there, but you'll notice it's fastened at the top, so I'm actually just going to separate those 2 little flowers. Really gently. So now I've got 3 separate pieces, all with some lovely floral patterns on. And the reason I didn't want to do the stamping was I wanted to make sure that they were far enough apart. And what they have in the kit are some punch outs. So I'm just going to bring in my silicone mat, not because I'm going to make anything sticky, but it's a nice dark contrast, and I wanted to be able to show you. So using the congratulations stamp that came in the kit, I'm going to ink it up with the berry burst. This is the little spot that came in the kit, and I'm going to stand up to do this because otherwise my head will be in the shot. So it puts me awfully close to my camera, so if you think I'm shouting, I do apologize. So the nice thing, of course, with the acrylic block is you can see through it, and it really helps with your placement. So that's the stamping of the congratulations. And again, here's 2 I made earlier. So we've got 3 of those. And then what we'll do is we will lay these on the card where they're going to be. Lay their little floral section on where that's going to be. And you see where I cut it, the gold has ended, but this piece is still ongoing. I thought that was all right because it's heading that way. If you didn't want to have that, you could always just go ahead and snip that piece off. So the piece you have for your border edge is all the same color. So if we're going to leave the congratulations there, what I'm going to do is I have just not so long ago retired myself, and I have quite a few friends who are getting to that point in their life. So one of the stamps in the set say on your retirement. So I thought, well, why not go ahead and make some retirement cards. So that says congratulations. That looks a little bit lumpy to me, but we'll just stamp it on your retirement. So we know that's stamped all right. The advice always is to do the stamping so you can always flip it over. Unfortunately, with a card like this, you don't have the luxury of being able to do that. So we'll place the next one, place the congratulations, re-ink up the stamp. So we know just more or less where the congratulations. So we're going to attach them with dimensionals so it won't show so much. And again, this was the far end. So if you don't want to have a solid gold on this end and a finished gold on the other, we can just snip it off. So place the last congratulations. On your retirement. So there we have it. Let me put the little top back on my cute little gorgeous grape ink spot. And now we can get to assembling the cards. So I will use the dimensionals that came in the kit. So I'll put 2 on the bottom, 1 up at the top where there's a thick piece. And I think that's about all the places where I could get those actually. So hopefully it will be enough to hold it in place. So we'll just pop those there. And then peel the one off the top and just let it fall where it's going to land. And then we can pop 3 on the back of congratulations. Whoops, if it sticks to me. 1, 2, 3. Whoops, gosh. 1, 2, 3 backing forms off. So we can stick the congratulations on there. And last but not least, for each little card, there is the cutest little butterfly. So I'm going to just pop a few around using the fresh freesia. So we've actually used all of the stamped colours. And then this just needs to go. Oh, this is the one that doesn't want to work. So we can pop that on, bearing in mind that it is just 1/8 of an inch different. So it just has a narrow little border. So that's the first card. We're on a roll. So let's pop the next one on with its little dimensionals. So we'll put 1, 2 on there, and I think we can just about squeeze one in the back of that little daisy. So take the bottom 2 off is my advice, and then pop it into the corner as far over as you want it to go, and then you can gently bend that forward to take it off and then let it go where it lands. I'm so excited for this kit. I knew when I did the March one that it was like a palooza. I mean, what could you say about that kit? And I thought, I'm never going to live up to that. But this one came, and it's got some really awesome potential. So there's that. So let's bring in the fresh freesia. And pop a few little butterflies on. So stick that onto fresh freesia cardstock too. So we're picking out all the colours that are in the pieces. And then last but not least, we've got this one. So it's funny, once I had retired, I thought, oh, there's only me, because all my lovely chummy buddies were working and doing other things, and now it seems everybody's catching me off. I'm setting a trend. What can I say? So we'll pop some dimensionals on this one. This is an extra longer piece, so I'm going to pop 3 on the bottom of there and 1 in the middle of that little flower top. So again, peeling the backings off. This one's a little bit bigger, so pop it in the bottom corner, curve it gently and do the top. It's not very often that the ink spots or the stamp that's on the ink spot is small enough to use it where you can just tap it on the ink itself. So that's all of those done though, so we can pop those out of the way, and then I will just bring them in for one last look, and we can see the whole set of them made from the envelopes. And then of course, as you know, the envelope back, so it doesn't go to waste, is on the inside. And there we have it, 3 cards, 1 die cut. The congratulations were already shaped for those, so I got to use those for the reason they were intended. Like I say, all the directions and dimensions are on my blog, so you can pop on over there to check them out. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing. That keeps my algorithm busy so I can bring more videos to you. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate those. And last but not least, oh no, actually not last, almost last, penultimate, is don't forget to check back often, because this is just from 1 envelope and 3 envelopes and 1 die cut. There are so many more videos coming, so don't forget to check back. And in the meantime, for this one, thanks so much for watching.